The thing I missed the most about the military was that I was always in a position to lead. I was always in a position to set an example and choose to be a positive influence. So with the best intentions when I got out, I wanted to find something that aligned with my experience and put me in that same mentor-like position. So I became a Juvenile Correctional Officer. When I applied, I thought that's exactly what I'd be doing. I knew what I was getting myself into. I know it's not an easy job, but it was job satisfaction that I was looking for. An opportunity to continue to lead and a challenge to constantly better myself. It was a desire to build positive relationships with these kids that never had the right influences. They don't have people that care if they succeed. Because for most of these boys, juvie is the last chance they have to turn things around before they're sent off to serve actual time in prison. A lot of them don't have that chance because of the things they did. But I wanted to be that big brother to those of them that know they made a mistake. We all do. But they also need guidance like we all do. I wanted to be there for those that were willing to listen. But unfortunately, it was rare that they did. In training, they told us that they literally can't listen or pay attention because most of them are legitimately diagnosed with ADHD, ODD, and other sorts of disorders, including PTSD, all while their brains are still developing. We learned that the incarcerated are some of the most traumatized people in society. We also learned about the ACE test and how all of them have experienced one or more traumatic events in their childhood, detrimentally affecting the person they are today. As a correctional officer, I would say that I tried my best to practice patience. I was very engaged and talkative. I wanted to be relatable. I wanted them to feel like I was there for a reason other than just needing a job. And some of them asked me that. Why was I there? They loved that I was in the military. They had so many questions about boot camp and guns. There was an awesome ROTC program, so we'll talk about that too. So I would try to paint the military in the light of a potential pathway for them. Structure, discipline, and responsibility, that's what they needed. Mostly structure, which is what they didn't have at home, or even in the institution to an extent. It felt like my efforts were futile. It's like they were set up to dwell. Discipline was not enforceable. Accountability was lackluster. Normal behavior was incentivized, and in turn, these young men are infantilized. This place was the last-ditch effort to hold on to their innocence. But even at their age, they have gone through and have done things that ordinary people will never experience in their lifetimes. And it's not like they're not given opportunities on top of opportunities. There's an entire high school inside the compound with trade programs available for free. So even though they're locked up, they can get a diploma and even potentially the skills to get a decent job. But you had to beg these kids to focus on their schoolwork like they had anything else to do. You had to negotiate with them to do what they know they had to. All they wanted to do was fight, gangbang, go on rec, and enjoy all the benefits of an institution. 3 meals, a bed, and a shower a day. Something a lot of them don't get back at home. But that was the reality of the job. I was a babysitter for teenagers that robbed people, killed people, and worse. We had a roundtable discussion in the unit one day. It was close to New Year's, so we're talking about resolutions and goals, things that they need to focus on in order to get out. Most of them say they're not going to act up. They're not going to be involved in all the BS, that they're just going to focus on themselves. You hear them say it all the time when they talk to their counselors or their teachers. But it's like sweet nothings. And the way that I interpret that is inflated things that you say that don't mean anything because you don't actually mean it. Saying what other people want to hear. It's like when you first meet somebody, you put on your best face and you don't even remember their name afterwards. It's like when you're saying all the right things to a girl that she's everything to you, that you're always going to be there for her, just so you could get in her pants. And that's exactly how I brought it up to them. And they just laugh. But when somebody owes them something, or someone made a promise to them, they hold everyone to their word. To a lot of people, including misled youth from the street, their word is everything. You have my word. My word is bond. I'm a man of my word. But does it only apply outwardly? What about all the things that are said in your head that only you can hear? Those conversations matter too. And I would say that they matter mostly. Because how could you ever get anything done, improve your life, or accomplish the things that you want to if it doesn't start as a monologue in your head? I've tried my entire adult life to be the type of person that enjoys to sit down and read books. Perhaps it's my struggle to focus with a deteriorated attention span. I do try, but my mind wanders. Out of all the books that I've struggled to get through, there's one that always sticks out of the shelf for me. As a Man Thinketh by James Allen, published in 1903. To put it simply, you are what you think. To me, the ideas in this book are a practical guide of what you know as spiritual manifestation for the scientific or the rational person. You don't have control of the external factors of your life, but you can consciously control your thoughts internally, then influence the external in a positive or negative way. Man is buffeted by circumstances so long as he believes himself to be the creature of outside conditions. But when he realizes that he is a creative power, and that he may command the hidden soil and seeds of his being out of which circumstances grow, he then becomes the rightful master of himself. You are what you think because a particular train of thought persisted in, be it good or bad, cannot fail to produce its results on the character and circumstances. A man cannot directly choose his circumstances, but he can choose his thoughts, and so indirectly, yet surely shape his circumstances. And we can't fake it. Believe it or not, we can't hide what we think. We're not as safe in our thoughts as we believe ourselves to be, because men imagine that thought can be kept secret, but it cannot. It rapidly crystallizes into habit, and habit is what solidifies into circumstances. I constantly recommend this book because it's unbelievably short, but it has a huge, impactful message. It's barely even a book. It's like reading the transcript of an early 20th century TED Talk. At the Correctional Center, we did rec inside of the gymnasium of the high school. My first time there, I was so surprised to see a poster on the wall that listed the 4 agreements. The 4 agreements is another book. It wasn't difficult to read because it stuck out to me so much. I couldn't stop reading it. But you have the power to choose your path and create the reality you desire. They're not simply rules, these agreements, but promises that you make to yourself. They are personal commitments that you choose to uphold to grow. Be impeccable with your word is the first agreement. Impeccable meaning without sin, and sin meaning to go against yourself. Being impeccable is not going against yourself. When you are impeccable, you take responsibility of your actions, but you do not judge or blame yourself. The truth is the most important part of being impeccable with your word. Now, on the flip side, this is more of a spiritual take on taking accountability of yourself and the power of the words that you say. But don't let that discredit the validity and the practical nature and simplicity of its message. It is extremely easy to follow, and I love this book so much and recommend it so much because they're easily understood and they're easy to remind yourself about them, though they're not as easy to practice. But that's okay because you have these simple guidelines to follow. And you could see how working on mastering these small little agreements, these little things, can completely change your life. Mirrors are like windows that look inside. In the right light, windows even act like mirrors. What you see in the mirror is the embodiment of your thoughts, the carrier of that mysterious organ in your noggin, where everything that you know that is true and is you comes from. And every glance in the mirror is a chance for you to say all the things you need to say to yourself. You are not an idiot. You're the most complex life form to ever exist with the power to reason and think independently. What? You're not a zombie that mindlessly scrolls. Your mind needs stimulation, but it's overwhelmed with all of these endless choices. You're not a failure. You have the ability to learn from your mistakes, taking them as lessons in order to be closer to success in the next attempt. Say good things about yourself and dream good dreams, the ones that you want to make into reality, and hold yourself to your own words. But remember that it has to be more than just words. Deeds, not just words. Acta, non verba. Remember the motto. Remember to live by it when you say what you say. But remember that it's not solely a motto, because then it would just be words, not deeds. Being a correctional officer didn't work out, but my job now is being a dad. It's being a husband, a student, and I'm still creating things and doing what I love. Doing all the things that are meaningful to me. And I get the opportunity every single day to be the example that I want it to be. It is a challenge every single day. But I wouldn't have been ready to have a child or a wife or make positive growth in my life if it wasn't for the influences like my own dad, experiences that I've had on my own that have developed me personally, and having creative outlets to explore and express myself growing up. The things I will tell my son and what I tell myself are different. I have to reassure him with all of the positive affirmations and try my best to make communication open and honest. But I have to always hold myself accountable. Say, I have to be the best dad I possibly can for him. Oh my gosh. To myself, but show him through my actions, through those deeds. Because I have to truly think that way, myself, internally, in order for it to be genuine and meaningful outwardly, externally. A couple of years ago, I wrote a poem about standing in front of a mirror. I would stare at myself in the eyes and ask myself in my head, who am I? Who am I? And after a couple of minutes, it's like I would become the person in the mirror that doesn't know anything about me on the other side. I wouldn't recommend it. I don't know if it leads to some sort of dementia or memory loss, but it's definitely weird, but you can try it. I'm not telling you what to do. In this poem, I wrote about how I felt, and it's called Mirroring. Me? Is that really me? Can you see through this being? You actually being me? Is that actually my voice? Or is that a whisper from the one inside, behind the glass in front of my eyes? Which one is me? Which one am I? I can't be both. Sigh. I just saw it fitting that I'd write another poem in light of the message in this video. So, what if everything I said to you and to myself in my head, I didn't just swear on a body that's dead? What if when I said what I said, commands when I led, meaningful words from books that I've read, the vows when we wed, when I said I'll go get some eggs and some bread, the final words on my deathbed, I meant them with every shred of my being, every red and white blood cell that flows through my head and my heart that I've bled, the tears and old shell of myself that I've shed. Everything that I've said is threaded and embedded in me. And even if you don't hear it, you'll see, because we can't hide what we think.